I woke up one day and decided I want to work at magazines, work on a magazine. You're going to like something, you're going to hate something, and that's good. And for me, it's always about saying yes. I mean, what's the worst thing that can happen? It's very hard to complain about the lifestyle that I have. My job is to make you better for your next job. You don't really know what you want to do until you find out what you don't want to do. Surround yourself with good clients and great friends and champagne.
Absolutely. We're recording today in Covent Garden with someone who defines international entrepreneurship and style, Melanie Brandman. Melanie is the founder and CEO of the Brandman Agency, one of the world's leading luxury travel and lifestyle communication firms. She's also an investor, advisor, and creative force who divides her time between New York, the Hamptons, and London.
That's correct.
She's visited more than 90 countries, represents some of the world's most recognizable hospitality brands, and has invested in a number of startups, many of which we sit on the board of together. So she's a very close friend and the most well-traveled person I know. You've been in London a lot recently. How does it feel to slow down and enjoy the city?
I love London. I've always loved London. I think it's, as an Aussie, we all leave Australia at some point. Half of us come to London and the other half go to California. It's true. My job at the time brought me over here 30 years ago, actually. So I was living here from like 93 to 98 for a year, for 5 years. And I lived in Mayfair. That's where the office was. And I'm back in Mayfair. I mean, it's sort of phenomenal, actually. But back then, the only thing I could do was get a drink at Morton's, like at 11 o'clock at night. It was the only thing open. And now that doesn't exist, but lots of other great places. So I love it. I love being here. It's really good.
Obviously, splitting your time between New York, the Hamptons, London, and many, many other places. But where it truly feels like home, would you say? Where are you most happy?
Honestly, I'm really happy wherever I am at the time. Like, I'm really such a nomadic person that I'm so happy when I'm sitting on the couch in my apartment in New York City or at the beach house in the Hamptons or here in London. I mean, look, it's very hard to complain about the lifestyle that I have. But I'm equally as happy, when I'm on the road and I'm in Marrakesh for a few days, or I'm really just happy wherever I am at the time. I'm just very happy.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So let's start with how it all began. You grew up in Australia.
I did.
What first drew you to travel, storytelling?
Yeah. All right. So I was born in a tiny little town in Western Australia called Kalgoorlie. It's a gold mining town back in the day. It's in the middle of Western Australia. There's like one road that runs through no, I promise you, it was crazy. It's like the equivalent, I always say it's the equivalent of the American town called Deadwood. You ever watch that TV show? One of my favorite. I mean, I literally had to have subtitles on to understand what was his name?
Ian McShane.
Ian McShane was sane, but still one of my favorite shows. And growing up in Kalgoorlie was like growing up in Deadwood. And my dad worked on the mines. My grandparents and my uncles, they all had livestock farms. So they're ranches, if you will. So it was, we just couldn't wait to get out of there. I mean, not that I had much choice. So my parents were, my dad was moved to Victoria, to Melbourne. We spent about 9 years there. Then we moved overseas and we actually got sent to Israel, of all places, 1972. Can you imagine? We didn't even know where it was on the map when they told us we were being transferred there.
Wow.
And we moved there in 72, just before the Yom Kippur War. So a family of, there were 4 of us kids. I think I was 8 when I moved there. It was incredible. So we spent 5 years there. And I think when we were there, it was my dad's opportunity to get a family of 4 out of Australia. Otherwise, you could never afford it back in those days. So packed us up, moved us over there, not knowing what to expect. We'd never left Australia. I mean, we barely got off the farm. So I was like, there we are in Israel, spending time in Jerusalem, and had my confirmation in Bethlehem at the birthplace of, Jesus. And it was sort of extraordinary. And every summer we would vacation in Europe. We'd get the old combi van and pack in the family of 6 into some sort of, combi van, drive around eating tomato and cheese sandwiches because that's all we could really afford for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I don't know, I think from there, just a passion for travel. I mean, I just loved it. And, my parents were really good about encouraging us to do that. So I just started traveling. I'd just work as much as I could, when I was in school, and save money and hit the road. My parents are really good about letting us just go off on our own at a very young age, which is
And you started
Typical.
at Intercon, right? And you had a really cool job.
No, I started somewhere else before then. No, so I had, it's the way I got all my jobs is sort of just, it's sort of funny because it's unexpected. So basically I was finishing up school and I was going to like a year sort of like business college, i.e. typing in shorthand. And I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I woke up one day and decided I want to work at magazines, work on a magazine. So I took myself down to the local news agency, sat on the floor, wrote down the name of every editor, every address, got on my little manual typewriter, wrote a letter to 50 magazines asking for a job. And 2 magazines came back, Vogue and Australian Woman's Weekly.
Wow.
I mean, not a hard choice, frankly. I mean, come on. Not that I had any fashion sense then, because I was making all my own clothes as well, because, I was spending all my money on travel. So, and I started working at Vogue, and I worked on a magazine in Australia called Vogue Entertaining. So it's like a food magazine / lifestyle interior. So it was Vogue Men, Vogue Children, Vogue Food. 3 of my favorite things, not necessarily in that order. And I did that for 3 years, had 2 other jobs because Vogue paid me $70 a week in cash in an envelope.
Right.
I mean, you work for Vogue, you don't work for money. And the tea lady used to come around with her little trolley, and in it would be all the envelopes of everyone, even the editor-in-chief would have like an envelope of cash.
A big envelope for him.
Vogue, let's be clear, and would hand us out, it was like $70. Yeah, sure, it was the 80s, but still. And so I had 2 other jobs, and also they worked you to the bone. I mean, like to the bone, like almost 7 days a week. So then I worked at a coffee shop at night in King's Cross, which is the red light district. I mean, no job too small for me. It wasn't that job, I promise you. I was making, cappuccinos and serving tables at this coffee shop on the corner where all the NA guys would come in, Narcotics Anonymous, who also are not big tippers. So I'd make, I don't know, maybe 30 or $40 a night there serving coffee and making, I'm very good on a cappuccino machine to this day. And then on Saturdays or Sundays, I work at a men's store just down the road selling ties, suits, whatever. Anyway, eventually it just became all too much. Can you imagine? I was exhausted.
Yeah.
I mean, it was fun because I was also partying every night, going to all the clubs with all my girlfriends and, 80s disco, like my favorite era, dancing. And finally, so back to Intercontinental, I was so burned out, and my sister had gone for an interview at the Intercontinental in Sydney. It was pre-opening, and they were going to open this new luxury hotel. I knew nothing about the business, and they called her back for a second interview, and she's like, Kennedy goes, no, I don't want to do that. Why don't you go for the interview? They'll never know the difference. She goes, there's a bunch of Americans from HR and head office who are down in Sydney recruiting for the opening of this luxury 5-star hotel. Don't worry, they won't even know. I went, okay. So I go for my sister's second interview at the hotel, and halfway through, they're like, hold on a second, you're not Linda Baker. I go, no, I'm her sister, Melanie Baker. And they're like, I said, my sister thought I'd be really good for the job. They're like, oh my God, they couldn't believe this like chutzpah of this girl at like, in her early 20s or what, I don't even know what, 21 or something, 22. And they said, oh my God, they said, we have 2 jobs. Which one would you like? I said, well, which one pays the most? And they go, this job. So I became the personal assistant to the resident manager of the Intercontinental in Sydney, which was great because he was such an introvert that he'd stay in his office doing all my typing while I would just swan around the hotel doing all the things he's supposed to do, like shake hands and kiss babies with guests and things like that. So that's how I got into the hotel business. Isn't that crazy?
And there were quite a few celebrities that used to stay at that Sydney hotel, right?
Oh my God, it was crazy. So back in the early days, we would, working for him, I'd sort of get access to a lot of the hotel, and I'd also asked him to give me like a week cross-training in all the different departments, like everything from housekeeping to stewarding, where all the garbage comes in, to engineering. So basically I got to work in every department for a week because I wanted to really understand the business. So when I was in guest relations, it was always so many celebrities would come through, like room service. Mr. George Michael would open the door.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell that full story. And and another time I was looking after Frank Sinatra and Liza Minnelli and Sammy Davis Jr. And they were performing at the Hilton Hotel. So I got to meet them, go to the concert, Meat Loaf, one of my favorite performers. The Prime Minister of India, the King of Spain. I mean, you name it. Everyone was coming through Sydney then. And there were only 2 great hotels to stay in, and ours was one of them.
Wow.
So we had an amazing experience.
There still are only about 2 good hotels in Sydney.
I know. It's true, actually. It's true.
So you've built the Brandman agency, globally recognised brand out of New York and London.
Yeah.
What was your vision when you first launched it? Like, it's a crowded space, competitive industry. Luxury has evolved so much as well over the last couple of decades.
So just backing up slightly, after I finished sort of in Sydney and got moved to the London head office for Intercontinental, and I was running global PR for Intercontinental Group. So I had about 7 agencies that reported to me around the world, PR agencies, because I was, giving them instructions on getting the press releases out and doing whatever it was, pitching. What I realized when I did leave Intercontinental, December 31st, 1999, because I really didn't want to have to handle Y2K and ruin my millennial New Year's Eve. I decided it was time to leave anyway. And what I realized was I wanted to create an agency that I could not truly find when I used to hire agencies. So I used to always find you'd meet the principal of a company, when you're being pitched the business, and then you're left with junior staff to execute, which never really worked well, in my opinion. So for me, it was really very much about creating an agency that's and still today, 25 years later, senior management. And one of my team members has been with me 24 of the 25 years now. My other senior team, 18 years, 15 years, 12 years, along those lines. Having a team of people who can really be me. I can't be everywhere, but also giving them the ability to sort of run their own shop within a shop, if you will. So I was creating an agency that was high on service, high on senior staff, really good quality work output, and also fun. I mean, we work in luxury hospitality. It's a lot of fun. So, we have a great team, and main office New York, LA, London, and Sydney. It's dream team. It's great.
Amazing.
I know.
So running offices in different cities obviously can dilute culture, right?
Yeah.
So how do you keep it consistent at Brandman?
I think for me, look, everything comes, I think in any great company, comes from the top down. And that's not just me, it's my senior team. And we're also sort of on the same page with how we want our clients to feel, how we want to work with the media, how we want to deliver, the output for our clients. And I think, we're big on training, we're big on collaboration. A lot of agencies are very siloed. And for me, it's all about collaboration within the teams. Like, I don't really, okay, you're that team, but you're also working with this team. Like, we all work together. And I think that's why people stay with me a long time as well, because they really get to learn a lot. They get to work across different clients. We'll send them overseas. They get to go on great press. It's great. Yeah. But we really do a lot of like what we call brown bag lunches, and all the officers dial in. And it may be, how to handle a press trip, or how to do emails to someone in Singapore versus someone in Australia at the GM level down to the director of sales level. So how do you talk in the language of, really seasoned hoteliers as well?
Yeah, because that's a big challenge, isn't it? Getting in the door. So you obviously worked with some of the biggest names in hospitality.
Yeah.
What's the secret, would you say, to like staying relevant? Because luxury travel's evolved so much, right?
It has. Well, PR has evolved so much. Back in the day when you'd be writing press releases, typing them up, putting them into envelopes. I love technology. Really love technology, and I love building things. So for me, we have always stayed ahead of the curve when it comes to embracing technology, from everything from distribution of media to influencer marketing, social media. We were some of the first agencies to really embrace that. How do we find new ways to communicate for our clients outside of what was the norm? And luxury is different again because mainstream travelers will get their information in maybe a different way that luxury gets their information. And a lot of luxury gets their information through collaborations with like-minded partners, luxury brands, working with luxury hotels. They're getting it through luxury content online. So with that in mind, I also started another company called Travel Curator, which is a luxury travel media brand, like a travelandleisure.com or a Condé Nast. You know, I wanted to fill that niche in my company, which was, if you look at sort of, you know, the diagram, sort of the flywheel of what we do, there was always that blank space in PR that we always relied on other people to tell the narrative for our clients. So I wanted to create a platform where we could control the narrative for our clients. So I started it that way, and now we have 600,000 consumers subscribed to this website. We're putting out 5 newsletters a week, and it's not just about our clients with that. We do insert them occasionally if they fit the story, but it just allowed us a great way to communicate to the luxury consumer.
Yeah, no, totally agree. Travel Curators, you know, an amazing, you know, bi-weekly newsletter, right?
5 times a week.
5 times a week,
and
wow.
It feels like you only get it twice a week. That's the beauty of how we write it.
So obviously it promotes a lot of luxury trains. You know, we've done one of those together. Luxury cruises, you were on one of those recently that looked incredible. I think for me, it's really changed the idea of, you know, ever agreeing to go on a cruise. You know, someone in their 40s, or, you know, I was talking to my mum about it the other day. You know, I'm trying hard to persuade her to go on one, but there's such an amazing standard now.
It's changed so much. I mean, look at all the big brands getting into it. You know, a lot of companies that were traditionally hotel companies, like Orient Express, now Belmond, actually they're both doing cruising. I think Prada has got something, or Louis Vuitton, or one of the big luxury brands is going to be doing an luxury exploration ship down in the Galapagos. Cruising, we don't even use that word anymore. We say ocean journeys. Yeah. So we're working with an incredible brand called Explorer Journeys. Yeah. And they are really redefining what it is to cruise. Sorry, I'm not supposed to use that word. To do an ocean journey. We just worked with them on a big collaboration with Yannick Sinner, the Italian superstar who was just at the US Open. They just signed a long-term contract with him, whereby we're utilizing him in our communications to reach an audience that maybe wouldn't have taken an ocean journey before. They've signed big deals with Formula One. We're doing partnerships with big art galleries around the world as well. So the way they're approaching it and the way they're attracting the luxury consumer to go on the ships is, again, very different to, say, your mum and dad's, you know, cruise with 5,000 people in the Caribbean. I think don't sign me up for that.
If you spend any time in Miami and you go down to the port on a Saturday afternoon, you can see 7 or 8 of those mega ships coming in and out, can't you, in the same day? And
well, these are smaller companies, you know, like the Ritz-Carlton Yacht Collection and All Suites. You know, the food is Michelin star, you know, quality. There are several pools. There are the excursions, once you get into these incredible, you know, sort of ports, are so much more elevated. And the sort of clientele that goes on them, and they're sort of more like-minded. Plus, they're able to reach the luxury consumer by tapping into their rewards programs. So, you know, Ritz-Carlton is part of Marriott. They've got a massive database of luxury consumers, right? So they're able to tap into that as well. So it's been an interesting evolution in luxury travel. So
you're on the board and you advise quite a few startups, right? As maybe a couple I wanted to touch on today. Obviously, we invested a few years ago now in Sherpa, which is doing really well, but also more recently in hospitality, which is an AI platform helping, you know, the recruitment sector in hospitality itself. Do you enjoy being involved in the startups? I mean, what's your view on them?
Brandman Agency was a startup. Travel Curator is a startup. I think the thing that makes me most passionate about what I do is building things. You know, I just love to build things. I love to create a space for other people to get excited about it too. So things like hospitality, for me, I can see where this will play such a big role in helping the hospitality industry. I mean, it's sort of genius what they're doing, because there is such a problem finding great talent, particularly, look, so many new hotels are coming on board, so many restaurants, bars, all of it. And a lot of it's very seasonal too. And a lot of them move around. And some countries, working in hotels is a career. It's the way, like in Asia, it's a career. Like in America, not as much a career. They move around a lot. It's, for a lot of people, it's just a part-time job, right?
Sure.
Europe always started as a career with all the great hotel schools in Switzerland. And so it's a different attitude culturally in different countries. So I think hospitality is really going to find its niche, helping the industry match with the right people who are looking for careers or seasonal work. I mean, I think it works both ways.
Yeah, and seasonal work for young people, as you said, whether it, my daughter is thinking about, could she do a ski season here? Could she go?
Can I do that?
Could she go and work in the Caribbean somewhere?
She should.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, but what a great way for young people. And again, I think one of the biggest parts of what I do is mentoring young people, specifically women, because my business tends to attract more young women than young men. I think it's because we don't pay as much as like technology and things like that. But for me, as I say to kids today, my job is to make you better for your next job. And I get such an excitement to see kids come through the business and then continue on to do great things. My point with what you're saying about your daughter is, you don't really know what you want to do until you find out what you don't want to do.
Yeah.
So I say to all the interns who come through my company, take as many internships as you can. You're going to like something, you're going to hate something, and that's good.
Absolutely.
It's good to know what you don't like. So for Gabby to go off and do several internships or go and be a chalet girl or go and work on a cruise ship as a, whatever it might be, she might find her great passion in life doing it that way. And I think the hospitality industry is one of the most unique businesses you can work in. It's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Every day is different, whether you're working in a hotel or in an affiliated company that services the industry. It's just fascinating.
I totally agree. So you've been to more than 90 countries.
I have.
Which is very
I'm having
impressive.
a competition with my partner on how we can get to more countries. And I said our goal every year is to go to 5 countries both of us have not been to.
Well, that's a very...
tough list. I had to put it into ChatGPT to find out what those were. Put his list in, put my list in, and half the countries come home like, no, we're not going there. We're not going there. But yeah, I mean, I never get bored going to a new country.
A good way to do that is actually a cruise, isn't it? Because, you could do the whole of the Nordics in a week. You can do the whole of, parts of Africa that you maybe not go to.
I don't count countries that I landed in to change planes.
No.
I mean, I tried to, and then I just said that's that. But I think this year we both decided we've both been there, but we haven't explored it, is Japan.
Yeah. No,
I
totally.
really want to spend time in Japan this year, and South America more. Nicaragua, Colombia. I mean, there's so, I want to get to Galapagos. I want to do Chile. I want to get to Peru. I really haven't been to South America much.
There's a great cruise that starts in Japan and goes around the Koreas and ends up in the Philippines, which was 10 days, which is pretty amazing.
That sounds incredible.
And very luxurious. One of my colleagues is doing. I think I told you about it. But that sounded very appealing. The Galapagos one sounds absolutely incredible.
I don't know if I have enough space on my camera for all the photos I take that I will take. Anyway. After our recent trip together, someone downloaded like 400 photos, and I opened up my phone this morning, like, every photo that was put up on that shared drive is now on my phone. I've got to stop allowing WhatsApp to drop everything in. But I will say there is actually Japan. If people are going to Japan, and I know it's like the hottest destination right now, there's a great company that we work with out of our Australia office. It's called Walk Japan. They have these incredible walking tours, and you stay in these like small traditional Japanese homes that people own, but they are just like the ultimate Japanese experience in through beautiful parts of the country. And you're escorted by a university professor level of people who know the history of Japan. And everyone who does it says it's a life-changing experience. So you can do 5 days up to probably 12 days. And so that's on my list for this year, for next year as well. When I do Japan, do like a 5-day Walk Japan tour.
Amazing. Look, you stayed in so many hotels. What would you say, something I wanted to ask you, what would you say makes a stay truly unforgettable? Like obviously La Mamounia or, Georges V in Paris or your favorites, but what really kind of, defines it for you that...
service, attention to detail. You don't have to have the poshest hotel to have the most memorable hotel. And I mean that in a good way, obviously. Sometimes the cushions can be frayed, but because they call you by name every time you arrive or see you or know what you remember, what you like to drink, there's such a level of comfort with that. Because I travel so much, for me, and I'm very fortunate because I stay in a lot of my clients' hotels, so I'm very spoiled and they really look after me. But I do know the ones I go back to time and time again are the ones that as soon as I get there, I'm like, I just relax. And I just know where everything is and I know what I want to do.
Yeah.
Service is sublime. Food is amazing. But I think also it has a sense of place. I like to feel like when I'm staying in a hotel, I'm staying in that city. I don't really want to be in a cookie cutter hotel where it could be anywhere, no matter how great the city is. So, yeah, there's a number of things, but, some of those that I just mentioned.
So you're obviously known for luxury communications.
Yeah.
The investment portfolio is, is spread, from Brandman to now travel curator to your investments. What do you look for, would you say, in a founder? And what do you think, what do you prefer, decisions that are led more from instinct or data or?
Well, historically, PR's never been about data, but that has also changed dramatically, right, in our world of PR, because we have so much more technology at our fingertips. We can track things, well, particularly since online happened, and we can track clicks and we can track links and we can see what's working, what's not. For me, it's really just always been about instinct and being a good person and knowing what you don't know, getting the ego out of it, understanding what you don't know and surrounding yourself by people who know that and allowing them to own that part of the work experience, right? I think, if I wasn't a great writer, I'd hire other people that were, or someone who really understood technology better than I did. I would have them do that. So, yeah, I think for me as a founder, there's a great book that Clemens Wilson wrote, who was the founder of Holiday Inn. It's called Half Luck and Half Brains. It's pretty correct. I mean, it is. Right place, right time, street smarts, a decent, it doesn't even have to be an Ivy League education. So many people I meet who are founders never even went to college. So I think it's about just being passionate about it as well, being smart and just, surrounding yourself by great people and being a good leader and being a kind person.
You divide your time between New York, the Hamptons and London. What do each of those places give you, would you say, your mindset and, lifestyle and energy?
Yeah. I'm very much a city or country girl. I'm not the in the middle girl, right? So for me, London, New York, they give me so much energy. I think I just love a big city. I love to just explore them. I love everything that they offer. And I love the international, people that you meet there. And New York and London are two of the most international markets, I find, for me, where everyone, they're just melting pots, the two of them. And I love that.
Yeah.
And I love the fact you can be anonymous in them. Growing up in a small town or even in Sydney, I mean, everyone, you just sort of knew everyone, right? I mean, particularly back then. And so being able to just sort of do whatever you want to do in those cities and sort of get on with it. And they really allow you to succeed. Cities like New York and London really, particularly New York, maybe less so in London. Well, the American work culture is like that, right? They're really about, allowing people to be successful. They really encourage that. And then the Hamptons, for me, I mean, I'm on the water. I mean, I just love being on the water. As an Aussie girl growing up, once we left, the farm, we were very much on the water growing up in Sydney. So, sailing on the water or, water skiing and all the things I do. So for me, my happy place is in my very simple, you've seen it, shack on the beach in Southampton. And it's, you walk out, you're in the sand, you've got your paddleboard, you've got your kayak, the boat's going back and forth, but it's very, very rustic and very, very simple. So much so there's no heating, there's no air conditioning. The power goes off if you turn on the hairdryer and the microwave at the same time. So I'm not in one of those fancy pants McMansions that everyone talks about.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have it any other way. For me, that sort of, it's like being in Byron Bay. It's like old school Sydney, right? Northern beaches, I should say. So that just gives me the downtime that I need from my travels and from being in the frantic pace that is New York City or London. So in order of frantic, it's New York, London, Hamptons.
Yeah.
Right. And the Hamptons is really interesting. I think people have a number of different impressions about the Hamptons. And I will say the thing about the Hamptons is it's massive. It's huge, actually. It's very big. And there's a lot of farmland, which people don't expect. There's a lot of crops still being grown. There's a lot of wineries. There's a lot of horse farms. Golf courses. But there's a lot of working farms still there, which is great for all the local farm stands and things like for produce and whatnot. So there's that side of the Hamptons that is very open and farm driven. And a lot of people have grown up there and their kids have gone to school there. And so it's a very living year round. But then you have, of course, the weekenders or the seasonal people with their huge homes, the very wealthy ones as well. That's on the other side of the highway. I'm not on that side of the highway, as you know. And it's quite contradictory, really. But the thing about the Hamptons is those two worlds also mix quite well too, interesting enough. So, it's only 2 hours from New York. It's a straight drive down the Long Island Expressway. You're there in 2 hours. And it's very easy. I find it very easy. I don't sort of get caught up in the whole social scene out there very much at that sort of, all the balls and all the art galleries and all that, because I have so much of that when I'm on the road with working in hospitality. And, when I go to hotels, I'm out all the time and being entertained or entertaining people. So for me, going out there is very much off the grid, which I love.
Totally.
Yeah.
But your shack, as you call it, is a social hub, isn't it?
It is the social hub. So trust the Americans to rely on the Aussie to have to throw the 4th of July party every year. So much pressure. It is a social hub because I'm very social. And whilst it is a little clapboard up and down stairs, it's got the most amazing deck. And it is on the literally on the beach. And so it's actually... the people who have the big homes, they love coming to my little home because it's so relaxing.
It's the best. Because
it's like, oh God, I have to think about the housekeepers. Don't have to think about, it's very simple. Maybe we'll upgrade one day, but right now it's perfect for what I need.
Yeah.
And also I can have a lot of people stay because it's only got 2 bedrooms. So you've got to get in early if you want. I know, you got to get in early if you want to stay.
Incredible sunset though.
Oh my God, it's extraordinary, isn't it? And I've learned to, I've got back onto the motorboats this year, had a few lessons. So, because we love to go by boat everywhere to all the restaurants, which is really great. So, trying to get better on the paddleboard.
Same.
Yeah, I have to get back on those planks. I got up this morning and started my plank series just so I can get back up on the paddleboard. It's just very laid back, very chilled for me out there. I just choose that style when I'm out there. Although, if you look at my Instagram, you wouldn't think so. It looks like I'm out every night. Okay, I'm out every night. But it's,
So you built
simple life.
You built your brands, you traveled endlessly, invested wildly, and mentored people across all sorts of industries. So what motivates you now? Looking back, what stands out as your turning points and what things have really shaped you? So I know there's quite a few questions there.
What has shaped me is travel itself. As I mentioned, from a very early age, having the opportunity with my family to move overseas. And then when I worked for Intercontinental Hotels for 15 years, I was, again, half luck, half brains, and being in the right place at the right time. They moved me to New York for a year back in '89 and then moved me back to Australia. Then I was in charge of Asia. And then they saw me there when I was going to all the travel shows with all the head honchos. And so then they moved me to London. I was just incredibly fortunate, worked extremely hard because I loved it. And I just had great opportunities. And for me, it's always about saying yes. I mean, what's the worst thing that can happen? Got to go home to mum and dad.
Yeah.
And they're great.
Yeah,
so I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
But for me, it was always just about taking the opportunities as they come up. And so those have all been turning points. I mean, of course, meeting certain friends, meeting certain partners in my life, they're turning points too. But I think just remaining sort of on the path of enjoying what you're doing, being passionate about it. If I stopped enjoying what I was doing, that would be a massive turning point in my life. Don't know what I would do. But if I did stop enjoying it, I'd go do something else. I'm not afraid to do that. And I love taking on new challenges. So I think it keeps it really interesting.
Yeah. So if you were going to speak to your younger self in early New York, what advice would you give her?
Okay, stay out of the sun. Don't start smoking. And maybe think about not partying. Yeah, that's true. I mean, those stay out of the sun and never picked up that pack of cigarettes. I haven't smoked in 20 years, but I would have definitely have said that. Oh, you mean for work? I'm sorry. And don't date that guy from down the road. He was bad news. I think I was just saying, put your hand up for everything. If you're starting out in a job and they say, can someone stay behind and help, stuff the envelopes with press release? Put your hand up. I think that if you put your hand up metaphorically and literally put your hand up in life to offer to do things, whether it's at work or with people, good things come back. They really do, or opportunities present themselves. So that would be one of my pieces of advice. And try a lot of different things and see what you really love, and just love what you do, because you're going to spend a lot of time doing it. Surround yourself. Oh, the other thing I'd say, be careful what you put on your social media. That wouldn't be what I told myself then. I was way too young to have social media. But today I would tell future young selves, careful what you put on social media. It will come back to bite you potentially. But I think, those are things that I did when I was younger. And I think they have put me in good stead, and I would recommend them for young people today. What else would I have said to myself? I think just enjoy it. Enjoy the ride and bring people along with it.
Yeah.
Because it's always better to have company than doing it on your own.
Yeah, that's so true. So you've built, these two fantastic businesses. What would you say is like next for you, like personally and professionally?
Such a tough question, because I am the sort of person who just lets things happen. I always just figure that with a large amount of output, a lot of good input comes in, and opportunities do always present themselves to me. I have been looking at doing, I just did a really fascinating sort of 3-day session with someone who works with like big keynote speakers. So I've been looking at that potentially. I'm often asked to moderate panels or speak at events and conferences. So I might start to do more of that. I've got sort of an idea of what that would look like from what my story would be. So I'm working on finessing that at the moment. Got a couple of good ideas, I think.
Exciting.
Yeah, it does, what it has done for me is made me really reflect on what I have accomplished, both personally and professionally. And are there any gaps that I want to fill? We don't know how many more summers we have left, right? How many good ones? So where are the gaps that I really want to do it? And what impact do you want to leave behind, if any? I don't have children, so it ends with me, I guess, although I have a lot of nieces and nephews. But, so what impact do you want to have without having like an ancestry legacy, if you will?
Yeah, I totally agree. Well, your story has always fascinated me over sort of 6-7 years I've known you.
I've told you some of the things I can't tell on the podcast, so because they're a lot more fun. But
I've always admired the balance of drive, style, and like genuine curiosity about the world. And I think I always say to people, it's the most fun career and business that I'm involved with, or I know. Yeah. And I think a lot of people looking out think the same, right? Yeah. And although it's stressful at times, I mean, it must be so rewarding.
It is. It's incredibly rewarding. I mean, making sure everyone gets paid every week for the last 25 years, particularly during COVID. I mean, it's very stressful. But I think that we keep our clients a long time. We keep our staff a long time. Everyone seems to be generally pretty happy, which is great. I'm happy. I'm enjoying it. And with that, it sort of sorts itself out. And I'm not being frivolous about that, because I do work very hard to make sure that, we can continue the company for another however many years it will be. But again, look out for the people around you, surround yourself with good clients and great friends and champagne.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much
My
for coming
pleasure,
on to
Nick.
the Global.
Have you learned something new about me?
Absolutely. Thank you.